Hey, this is Scott of photography.bonza.com. Today I'm going to show you some photos from a local convention. It's called Anime Midwest. I'll show you their website so you can check them out. It's pretty fun. First off, I will talk about my equipment, and then I'll also go into some of the photos that I liked, some that I disliked, and kind of why exactly they didn't work out. I was using the Pentax K-5 camera body as well as the K-01, which is a mirrorless camera. They both use the same lenses, they have the same mount. Lenses wise, I was using the 85mm f1.4 and also the 14mm f2.8. I had a flash that I used mostly with the K5. That was just a Sigma, I think it's a 530 DG Super flash, just connected to the hot shoe itself, no brackets or anything like that. Let's see, first off, this was a concert that I went to. I believe they were called the Pillowcases. This was with the 14mm f2.8 lens. Let's see, 1/100th of a second, ISO 1600. Don't believe I was using flash in this situation. I could be wrong though. It was pretty dark. However, it worked out nicely. It's relatively sharp. I like the angle of the main subject. Next up, another concert. This was a challenging situation. It was very dark there, and I had to use a flash. Let's open up Camera Raw. If you see, I zoom in here, you can see the blurred movement of his face, and then the flash, you know, stops that, so it's sharp there, but you've got some blur. Otherwise, I think it's pretty decent photo for the situation. Here's one of the better photos that I took. This was with the 85mm lens, f4, so it's pretty sharp depth of field, even although in that situation with that lens still get some blur in the background, but the background is somewhat legible. You can tell what it is, you can see the building, you can see the bricks. This works out nicely. I assume I use that aperture to keep it sharp, keep the subject sharp. I like that one. Here's one inside the hotel. You know, it's dark. That was ISO 6400, so it still turned out decent. 85mm lens at f3.2. I like the framing of it. Otherwise, relatively decent. With that high of an ISO, you're gonna get some image grain and stuff like that. This one I didn't like too much. I can tell it wasn't focused right on her face. That's probably just the camera not doing its job as well as it should, but it's a decent photo, but not too exciting. There's a few groups here of photos that I'll go over. Here's one that I liked, nice and sharp, again with the 85mm lens, probably the K-01 camera. No, that was the K-5. So sharp, nice photo. I like the framing of it. A little tight, but that was what I was going for. Here's one with the 14mm lens at f3.2. What I like about this photo is the angle that I decided to use, and I probably was standing on my tippy toes a little bit, so I get that downward perspective, you know. I've got the subjects and I try to look down on them a little bit. And a slight angle, you can see they're not fully straight, but that fills out the whole frame, and I think that works nicely. Here's one with two photos similar at the same time. You can see how some relatively slight changes make the photo really interesting. This one is boring. Yeah, it didn't work out. I probably just took a quick snapshot and then didn't you know, I thought, okay, let's do more, and I took that one, and that works out a lot better. So the camera's closer to the lens. Of course, that's the 14mm perspective, and that works nicely. Also a similar one with these two. The one that I didn't like, I cropped his feet a little bit, and then in this one they're fully in the photo, and again with the slight angle to it. This time I was going downward, up. Why exactly, I don't know. Sometimes you just go with the flow and see what works. I like that one. This one didn't turn out. With this character, you're not really supposed to see their face, but just in that situation, in that area, it didn't work out too well. Same one with this one. I was too close, I didn't have any room, just took a snapshot basically. You can see my flash here with the camera. Pretty funny. Okay, next up, I like this one. Good. Of course, you should probably know that's Doctor Who with his companion, and he's got his sonic screwdriver closer to the camera, so I've got some depth to the photo, which I like. In the background, you know, it's just the hotel, but I think it fits relatively well with the situation. Here's another one with the prop closer to the camera. In this case, I was really close. You got the prop, and then I was right next to it with my lens, and then the sword itself goes off into the distance. I like that. I think it could have been slightly better, maybe if he moved his sword over and I was getting more of his body instead of the martial arts pose, which, you know, it's just a profile, but pretty decent. In this one, you know, you're in a convention and you've got a quick situation, you want to take a photo that signifies like what the documentary style photo, and this was one of those, and I like how it turned out. The guys are in a line, but not, you can still see most of their full bodies, and provide some interest how they're standing to the photo. And of course the background's got the whole convention feel to it, which I like. And this one, pretty decent. I was of course using the 14mm lens again, and his prop is large, and the way that he's using it takes up a lot of room. So in that situation it worked out. I probably had to get pretty far back even with the wide angle lens. This one, I just liked her facial expression, and that adds, the model can add a lot to a photo if they do the right things. This one didn't work out too well because the way that I had my flash, you know, was connected right to the camera, and the angle where the flashlight was coming from, his hand was in the way, so his face got a shadow on it. But otherwise, kind of an interesting photo. Let's see. Again with the Doctor Who cosplayers. Another close one, but of course with the 85mm lens, you can get some nice blur in the background. Nice photo. This one too. Works out nicely. I like the framing of it. It's close, but it gets some interest to it. I usually take photos with both lenses, both cameras, so I get different perspectives. Here's one pretty fun photo. I kind of suggested or set up the scene a little bit. She's holding his tail, and he's got the excited, shocked look on his face, and I think it worked out. It's a pretty fun photo. Let's see, just this one, the background doesn't really fit too well, with the photo, but I like the perspective and the way they're standing and the way the camera is angled. Kind of gives an epic feel to that. Here's one of a concert. Fencer vs. Renji is his name, or nickname actually. I like the framing of it, the angle that I chose, and these lines coming from the ceiling are nice. They give that wide feel to it. Here's one that didn't turn out too well. I was trying to keep my shutter speed low to avoid having to crank up the ISO. In this situation it was 2000, but she was jumping, and with the wide angle it's just not too exciting of a photo even in that situation. Another one with 14, she was getting ready to go on stage. Kind of documentary style, but it didn't turn out that great. So that was about it for the Anime Midwest photos. I hope you enjoyed looking through them. Thanks.